Hello, everyone. My name is Tooways Asmal. Welcome to the 150th episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be available on podcast by tomorrow. So, for those who've watched quite a few of these episodes, if you know anyone who would benefit from watching, please share it with them. If you are joining us live, drop a 1 in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves, and drop a 2 in the comments if you're watching the recording. Today, we have another double guest session for you. Kadammanja Phiri is a chartered accountant and a business development manager at the ACCA. Joining him is Dumisani Mahlangu, manager of compliance and internal control at the Western Cape Liquor Authority, but more importantly, one of the champions of the ACCA in South Africa. I call him an unofficial spokesperson. I don't know what Kada calls him, but we'll ask him. Gents, thanks so much for joining me today. You might need to put your mics on.
Thanks. Okay. Thanks. Looking forward to speaking. I see Buiswa is already asking questions in the chat.
We'll get to those questions. Questions.
Yeah.
But gents, you've both been on the chat before a few years ago. But for those who might have missed it, can you each both give us a brief backstory? Kada, maybe you go first.
Okay. All right. Yeah. My name is Kadammanja Phiri. I'm based in the South African office. I work for ACCA, Southern Africa Cluster. My job is basically to get students to register with ACCA and to take it as a pathway to. But I also manage employer relationship, just in case you have an employer today who wants to sign up and become an ACCA training office and access the IRBA license. That's why I'm here today, to give you that information. Thanks.
Perfect. Dumisani, over to you.
Always, thank you very much. What an honor to be invited on your 150th episode. And good afternoon to your viewers. I'm Dumisani Mahlangu. I'm a manager for compliance and internal control at the Western Cape Liquor Authority, a public provincial entity of the Western Cape that is mandated to regulate the retail and micro manufacture of alcohol in the province. But then, that is my day-to-day job. I do a lot of part-time stuff, like cycling here. That's my hobby. But then the job title that I love most is that I'm an ACCA advocate within the borders of South Africa.
And if you want to learn a little bit more about Dumisani or about Kada, go and check out the previous episodes where I interviewed them. So that'll give you the scoop if you want to know the nitty-gritty details. But let's jump into why we're here. Kada, for those who don't know, what and some people have been living under a rock, and some of us I didn't know at one stage. So what is the ACCA and who do they represent?
Yeah, thanks. So the ACCA is a global body of accountants. We are in 191 countries globally. In Africa, we're in 15 countries. We've got a membership that is nearing the 250K globally. And we've got students that are over 500,000 globally as well. So we are a professional body of accountants, and we produce what we call professional accountants. Okay, in South Africa, you might call them CAs. So we produce professional body of accountants. Our accountants that we produce can do financial reporting, can do auditing, can do tax, can do financial management, can do management accounting. So we produce a whole range of skills in our qualification, and somebody is able to specialize and do what they want to do depending on their career pathing and opportunities that they do find. Thanks.
So 250,000 members across the globe. SAICA members are around 30,000. So this is obviously a massive organization that we're talking about. One of the other reasons that we are here is that there's recently been some, I wouldn't call them revelations, but recent approvals by the IRBA for ACCA. So Dumisani, if you can maybe tell us what has been this approval and what kind of impact will it have?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So let's perhaps start with what IRBA is. So it's an independent regulatory board of auditors. They regulate the audit profession, not the other internal audit profession, the external audit profession. And then, as you guys know, that for many years, since the inception of IRBA and its predecessor, the PAP, Public Accountants and Auditors Board, the only professional body that was accredited to for its members to be registered auditors, meaning to sign off financial statements, was members of South African Institute of Chartered Accountants or CASAs. So this accreditation, what it means is that all the students, all the aspiring professional accountants who wants to be ACCA, who are aligned with ACCA, can now train to become registered auditors. And once qualified, once they complete the ADP program, they too can also sign financial statements in the country. So the opportunity that brings is that, I mean, back in the days, I remember when I was doing my articles, I wanted maybe to go to a Big Four audit firm. I couldn't go to a Big Four audit firm. Why? Because Big Four audit firms only hired CASAs or students or learners who had CTA. But then now, if you've got a general, what do we call it in South Africa, general accounting degree that is non-SAICA accredited, it might be ACCA accredited, and then you don't need to do CTA. You can actually go to any accounting and auditing firm that is an ACCA approved employer to train as a potential registered auditor in the future. So that's what it means, and that is quite significant.
Okay. For the audience, we'll be answering all our questions at the end, so please add your questions to the comment section now so that we don't miss them. I'm going to put out the next few questions to either of you, and you both are welcome to answer, or you both welcome to, if you both want to give an answer, feel free to jump in. So for the student, or maybe the young professional who's watching from home, practically, how does this change affect them? Yes, you said now they can go to audit firms, but maybe can you give us, I'd like perspectives from both of you. So maybe, Kada, if you can also add a little bit there.
So for me, let me just, okay.
Now you start, Dumisani. Then
Okay.
I'll pick it up from you.
Let me just explain it from this perspective. So in my past life, until last year, I worked for one of the leading universities in Africa, the University of Cape Town. So as you know, it's one of the, being a prestigious university, being a university that is reputable, the tuition is also reputable as well, meaning that it's quite, the investment required to study per annum is quite significant. So all-inclusive cost can actually set you back or set your parents about 100,000 rand. So if per annum, all right? So you remember that with SAICA, you need to go up to an honors level. So plus minus 400,000, excluding inflationary educational increase per annum. So this opportunity, what it does is that in real terms, let's assume that your parents or yourself, you don't have money to go to university. You can start studying with ACCA from the first from the first paper. So ACCA has 14 papers. So you can pace yourself over a 3-year period, register to sit for ACCA exams, and then finish the first 9. And once you finish the first 9, you've got an option to go to an international university called Oxford Brookes, so that you can get the BCom, a BSc accountancy qualification. And then once you are done with that, and once you are done with those 9 courses, you continue, and then you do 4 additional courses. There are 6 optional papers, but then you only required to do 4. The first 2 are compulsory, and then the other 2 are optional. So what it means always is that, I mean, if you look at the cost to sit an exam from the first 9, it's about 2,300 rand. 2,300 rand times 10, that's 23,000. And then the other 4, the first 2 will be about 6,000. The last 2 will be about 4,000. So in 3 years, you actually need a tuition fee of about how much? 35,000, 40,000 rand. So from an affordability point of view, it's quite an affordable way of becoming a professional accountant. So it means that one can actually go work and then self-fund the studies, but then at the end of the day, they are professional accountant in South Africa. They've got an NQF level 8. They can go to an internationally aligned university to get a BSc honors accounting degree, and then should they wish, they can also have a master's degree. So in real ways, it offers an opportunity for people to get educated just before we even get to employment opportunities. Kada will add.
Okay.
Go for it, Kada.
All right. Yeah. I think what Dumisani has said is that think about it in this way. The path to going to becoming a registered auditor has been I go to university, I go on an accredited degree. Okay. Then I do a postgrad. Then I do, okay, that has been the path. But now think about it. There's somebody who's sitting there who wants to be a registered auditor. And then they get to their matric. And then they ask themselves to say, okay, they apply to universities, they can't get in through universities. Private universities are beyond their purview. Okay. But then they realize that universities are offering ACCA as a qualification on its own, not to go on a degree program. That student starts that qualification. Okay. Takes them about 4 to 4.5 years, as costing as Dumisani is putting it. Let's just put tuition. So you're talking about maybe about 70,000. Just goes through the ACCA route, completes the ACCA qualification, okay, meets the requirements that IRBA is requiring, that at the final level, they must be able to do advanced auditing and then do either tax, South African tax, or financial management. And then goes on a training program for 3 years, does the post-qualification experience and gets on the ADP. That will open barriers because somebody will think that I don't need to go to a university to get a degree, but I can go and study ACCA at a place of my choice, whether it's a university or a private provider. Then I can go on that path because, as I said in my last webinar that we had, I said that South Africa is privileged that you've got a lot of private and public universities. In some countries, university spaces are small. So ACCA provides a pathway to a person who still wants to be a professional accountant. And then we've got a second cohort. We've got now, if you look globally, you'll notice that people who study accounting are not necessarily people who do a degree in accounting. Some people go and do engineering, go and do chemistry, and then say, oh, you know what, I want to study. There is no pathway for them. Where do they go? But the ambition is still, I want to be an accountant. Because sometimes you find that you're selected to university, but you're not selected in what you wanted to do. So you go to university and say, let me finish the degree. That's why you find that the CFOs who say, I studied a literature degree, but now they are a member of a professional body. And that's what barriers do. And you must remember that every profession that opens up to people who come from a different background, who have studied different things, is now going to help to transform. I mean, in South Africa, we've got a report called the State of the Profession report. And that report speaks to the number of accountants. So you were talking about, let's say we're 50,000. Now our population is 62 million. How can we have 52,000 professional accountants servicing a population of 62 million? Mauritius, one of the countries that was flagged, one out of every 5, there are 2 million. 1 out of every 5 is an accountant. That's why you've got shared services there. You've got companies setting up offshore centers there. It's because 1 out of every 5 is an accountant in Mauritius is studying. So accountants also contribute to. We must not just look at the accounting contributes to GDP. They're the people who put in controls. There are people who account for the money. Even the grade listing is part of also. Accountants also play a role as well. And auditors play a key role because they certify financial statements. And financial statements are relied for credit rating agencies and all this. So there's a bigger picture to this, why we need auditors in South Africa. Thanks.
And tell me, what I've still got you on is, since the IRBA approval, how many firms have started giving trainees access to the auditing professional? Has the big four come into play, or is it still currently the medium and smaller firms? What's been the progress to date?
The out of the big four, the big three, EY, KPMG, and Deloitte are already signed up for this. And then we've got the medium firms, the BDOs, the MOs, and also they've also signed up as well. So the opportunities are there. EY has already advertised. The advert is already out for their training program for 2024 for ACCA trainees as well. So this has picked up because you must also remember that we've got a capacity issue as well. I mean, we're seeing something Imran posted on social media about the shortage of talent. He didn't speak about the lack of talent. He spoke about the shortage of talent. So ACCA also provide another pathway for students who want to capacitate the firms. We need to capacitate the firm. We need to capacitate the Auditor General, because auditing is an important pillar of our financial systems. Thanks.
Okay. And have there been any other updates from the ACCA, or if there's no updates, is there anything in the pipeline or in the process that you can let the viewers know about?
Yeah, there's more in the pipeline. I think what is going to happen is how the program is going to look like, how it's going to be delivered. I think those are the things that are in the pipeline. But I think the biggest announcement was the IRBA itself. So our license we start being monitored on 1st April 2024. So now we are going through monitoring level. So we're putting together the systems in place. But if anybody has got an employer who's got questions or who wants to register as what we call an ACCA approved employer, so that they can run an ACCA training, then they can contact me in the office, or they can contact me through LinkedIn. Then I'll take them through the process, and then they become an approved employer. This is a huge opportunity that employers must not pass by. Thanks.
Oh, perfect. Maybe Dumisani, if I can switch back to you, why do people not know about the ACCA in South Africa? What has been the issue?
So I will speak from my experience about 12 years ago when I was a student. When you go to an accounting class, what do lecturers talk about? They talk about being a CASA. What are the qualifications of these lectures? CASAs. When they invite Tooways to come speak to a student, Tooways is a director, he's a CASA. So CASA and SAICA enjoyed one monopoly, but then that monopoly actually gave them the privilege of branding. So, I mean, because they had a sole right to become auditors. It was well branded, it was well marketed, and then ACCA was small, and it remains small. So, and then when you try to say there is an alternative to SAICA, which is ACCA, which is SAIPA, which is CIMA, people would ask you, but would I ever get a job? And then you say yes. But would I be a JSE listed director and a JSE listed CFO? Remember that people have those type of ambitions, and then selling that type of ambitions actually sells a qualification. So if I want an easy way out or an easy way in to become a fund manager at a private equity firm, or to become a CFO or a CEO for a JSE listed company, and then all I see is CASAs, and then I don't see a lot of ACCAs. Guess what qualification I will study? I will study CASA. But then, be it as it may, ACCA is here, and then not everyone has the privilege, and there's been a barrier of going all the way to CTA. So ACCA provides that type of an opportunity, and then it breaks that barrier that existed before, and then it provides equal opportunities for everyone with ambition, for everyone with ability to become a registered auditor, so to speak. I wouldn't talk much about ACCA's advertisement, because in my view, professional bodies shouldn't be advertised, shouldn't be marketed. But then the quality of work that we do, the work ethic that we bring, the ethics, next week on the 18th is Global Ethics Day. The ethics that we espouse as professional accountants or as future members of these professional bodies, the protection of the public interest should actually sell the professional accountancy organizations that we belong to. In any case, it shouldn't matter which professional accountancy organization you belong to, but then what we should actually inculcate and promote is collaboration and cohesion amongst different professional accountancy body and members of different professional bodies. And that will take our economies very far, because where there is diversity of thinking and diversity of thoughts, diversity of skills, companies prospers, and then the bottom line benefits.
No, that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Before I jump over to audience questions, my last question, Kada, maybe for you is: how big is the ACCA membership in South Africa currently? And does the South African contingent have an impact on the global ACCA contingent?
Okay, I think let me put it in context to this. South Africa was an island on its own where we didn't have an audit right. In other countries, we've got practicing rights, even around South Africa, through various instruments that are used. And then South Africa being one of the key markets in Africa, you can imagine not having an audit right in South Africa, what it does for your brand as well. Okay. And this is significant in the bigger ACCA Africa, because it's something that the other markets have been waiting for. But also, if you think about it, regulators are coming together and thinking, how can we regulate our professionals in Africa? Okay, one of the things in the State of the Profession report that was said was that why can't we just have a regulation that is that for Africa itself? So, for example, how do we regulate audit? Because at the end of the day, there's the Africa Free Continental Trade. Okay, there's going to be not just transfer of goods and services, there's also going to be transfer of skills as well. Okay, it will require that regulators also become robust as well in terms of how skills can transfer around as well. And auditing is one of those that will become a key skill in some of the things. Because if you think some of the transactions will require an auditor to audit and say, oh, you bought goods from this person. Yes, the goods are available. This has been signed by an auditor. Or this payment is being verified. There's a lot of processes that will need to be verified. So we need also a robust audit profession in the African continent. So because Africa is ACCA, as it works with professional bodies in each of the countries that it operates in. Okay, and some are even regulators of ACCA members in those countries. So this has given hope to the country to say now we can harmonize and come together and say let's have a system that regulates this auditing as well, and it makes it easier for the transfer of skills among the continent, because that's one barrier that we've had, where I can't go and practice in Zimbabwe, I can't go and practice in Lesotho because I have to redo everything else as well. So maintaining sovereignty in terms of regulation is important, but also opening up where regulators are working together is also important. So for even for ACCA itself, ACCA, they will learn a lot because ACCA is regulated in a lot of markets, and there's best practice that they can learn from other markets as well. That they can learn from as well. So this becomes it's just not a milestone. It's a milestone for Africa. It's a milestone for ACCA. It's a milestone for ACCA as well. And just Dumisani said, our membership is very small, but you see, membership is sometimes, as Dumisani is saying, a number sometimes is not important. It's important to have the impact that your members have in society. That makes it important as well. Yes, yeah. So that's what I wanted to share.
Perfect. I'm going to move over to some. Dumisani, go for it.
Yeah, always. I mean, for me, the other benefit that this accreditation brings, any accreditation in the country, especially by an audit regulator, comes with some sort of prestige. So this IRBA accreditation will actually afford ACCA and ACCA members some form of prestige, because now if you are working for if you are working at a big four firm and then you are auditing a JSE listed companies, you will be able to showcase your skills and talents to those CFOs of a JSE listed entities. But then, as Kada said, that will lead us to actually being in the same room with other members from other professional accountancy organizations, whereby we harmonize and collaborate. So the thing is, I would like to actually give an unsolicited advice to say that, I mean, if you look at the materials that these professional accountancy organizations produce, it's very valuable, especially for CPD purposes. I mean, if you go to an ACCA website under professional insight, you will find that ACCA have research papers that they produce. And then if you go to SAICA, you'll find that they've got Accountancy SA, SAIPA as professional accountants. I mean, and if you read widely within the pages of these magazines, you will find something that actually speaks to your trade and profession on an everyday basis.
Perfect. Thanks for adding that. I want to move over to questions from the audience. We had a very early question from Buyiswa, who says, she's got a bachelor's degree in accounting and completed 3 years of articles. Where do I begin my journey with ACCA to become a CA from South Africa? She also mentioned earlier that she's currently a CIBA member as a BAP SA. Not sure what that means, but any answers for you?
Okay, all right, yeah. So it depends on where she's got, he or she has got the bachelor's degree from. So we've got accredited universities that we accredit, and they get exemptions from the first 8 or 9 subjects, depending on where she got the degree. So the first point of call, she must go on our website. He or she must go on our website and go. There's what we call an exemptions calculator. So when they go there, they must enter their qualification and the year that they got it. If it's an accredited qualification, it will just appear. If it's not, they will input it. If they don't get the number of exemptions that they get, okay, they can write to info@sccaglobal.com, send their transcript, and then they'll tell them where, because the SCCA qualification, everybody has got a different pathway. Okay, the pathway is not uniform, except if you complete the same degree the same year. But everybody has got a different pathway because of what you studied. So your transcript becomes important, because when we map qualifications, we map them against full qualifications as well. So that's the first thing. And then when she gets information from that, can contact me on LinkedIn. Then I can share with them how they register and how they go about it and what offers are there currently. So anybody who's got a bachelor's degree or a degree, even a diploma, must go on our exemptions calculator. It tells them how many credits or subjects or exemptions that they're going to get. Yeah, thanks.
So most importantly, go and look on the ACCA website and look for that.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you. Got a question from Matapelo, who says, please advise in terms of difficulties of getting funding to further one's ACCA exam through private institute. Which public university offers ACCA?
Okay, all right, okay, yeah, okay. So it depends on what she's saying. So Matapelo can contact the office and we can tell her what facet is offering in terms of scholarships for students on that side. But VETS has got a postgrad that is mapped to ACCA. UJ, Soweto campus, is offering ACCA modules until the applied skills. Northwest University, and I'm one of the students on the masters, they have got a master's degree that is mapped to ACCA as well. UKZN has got a postgrad as well that is mapped to the final level of the strategic level of ACCA. So these guys are offering ACCA, and in future, because of the growth with the ABA license, they're also going to be offering ACCA separate, the modules separate, as not part of a qualification, of an academic qualification. So she can also contact me through LinkedIn, then I'll give her all the information that is necessary for her to get that public funding. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. I see that's the main questions that are coming through. So I just want to give, before we end off, last thoughts from both of you. Dumisani, I'll give it over to you, and then Kada can end off. You're on mute, so you might just need to unmute.
No, always what I wanted to say is that, I mean, for me, this has been coming for about 24 years, and it's an opportunity that IRBA is now affording to everyone, as I said, who has ability and ambition to become a professional accountant, but then also it's something that would actually transform the profession in real ways. I mean, the future is bright, hope springs, and then I'm looking forward to see the face of the profession going forward tomorrow, in the next month, and forevermore.
The future is bright. Any last few words, Kada?
Spider-Man in the movie, they said, with great power comes greater responsibility. So I just want to appeal to ACCA students and ACCA members to uphold public interest, okay, and to follow the code of ethics, because the license itself comes with a lot of responsibility and scrutiny. That's number one. Number two, I also want to dispel a myth that has been going around. ACCA qualification is not easy. Okay, it's not an easier route, okay, to becoming a professional accountant. It's just that it's modular. You can pace yourself. So like when you're doing an MBA, you finish financial management, they say, oh, next semester you're doing strategic management. Then you write strategic management, you pass, they give you a mark, and it's modular. So because it's modular, a student can pace themselves. but it's not easy. It's up to the same standards that the SAICA qualification is, or any professional qualification that you're going to study, whether it's CIMA, whether it's the Institute of Internal Auditors, it's a professional qualification. So the level of exams and everything, I just want to dispel that, because there's a, say, I'll try ACCA because it's easier. No. It's just that you can pace yourself. And because you can pace yourself as a student, you can take time. I just want this to sink in, that it's not easy, because we might get a lot of students who are moving from one professional body to ACCA, and then they write an exam and then they get a shoe size in terms of their marks, and then they start saying, oh, okay, but I was told that this is not as easy. It's not an easier route. You need to invest time, you need to invest resources in the qualification so that you can pass as well. Thanks.
So it's not an easier route. With great power comes great responsibility. I think that's a great way to end the 150th show. The show has been live on YouTube and should be available on podcast by tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you feel that it's added value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Kada, Dumisani, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. We'll keep on answering questions. I see some questions. We'll answer them as well after the show. Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Perfect.
But thanks for your time. 150th show.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat. Goodbye.